You've probably heard a story like this. A couple seems totally fine, maybe for years, and then one day, boom, the wife announces she's leaving, and the husband? He is completely and utterly shocked. Well, there's a name for this pattern. Therapists call it the walk-away wife syndrome, and today we're going to dive deep into why this happens and what's really going on under the surface.
Okay, so let's start with a pretty staggering number. According to therapist Michelle Weiner-Davis, a full 2/3, that's right, 2 out of every 3 divorces are filed by women. Now that's not a small difference, that is a massive trend, and it tells us something really important is happening inside these long-term relationships.
And this right here is the heart of the mystery. If she's unhappy enough to want to end the entire marriage, how is it possible that the person living with her has no idea it's coming? How can 2 people be in the exact same relationship but have 2 completely different realities? Let's unpack that.
To understand his shock, we have to first understand her journey. See, for the wife, this is almost never a sudden decision. It's a long, quiet departure, a slow, emotional fade that happens over years, often right under her husband's nose.
Think about it. In the beginning of the relationship, it's very often the woman who acts as the emotional caretaker, right? She's the one pushing for those deep talks, planning the date nights, doing the heavy lifting to keep that emotional spark alive that brought them together in the first place.
Now, this timeline is absolutely crucial because it shows this isn't one big fight. It's a slow burn. It starts with her actively trying to connect. But after a while, when those requests aren't met, it can start to sound like nagging to him. And then you get to the most dangerous phase of all. She goes quiet. He might think, "Phew, the problem's gone away." But the reality is she's just given up hope. She's now quietly planning her escape.
Relationship coach Sharon Pope really hits the nail on the head with this. She says women leave mentally before they leave physically. By the time she actually says the words, "I'm leaving," she has likely been emotionally packed and gone for months, maybe even years. The physical act of leaving, that's just the final logistical step of a journey she finished a long, long time ago.
Okay, so that's her journey, but what is happening on his side of the Grand Canyon-sized gap that's forming between them? Because while she's slowly drifting away, he's living in a completely different world.
This right here perfectly captures the communication chasm. In her reality, she feels like she's been screaming for help for years, sending up flare after flare. In his perception, the screaming stopped, so everything must be fine. No news is good news. He mistakes her silence, her resignation, for contentment, and that is a fatal miscalculation. And then, this happens. D-Day. The no news is good news bubble bursts, and his entire world just shatters. The shock is genuine, the devastation is real, and he truly cannot fathom how they got here. This is almost always the first thing he says. "Why didn't you tell me?" But you have to understand, for her, that very question is the final, heartbreaking proof that he was never, ever listening. In her mind, she's been telling him for a decade, so his confusion just confirms her decision. And here's the truly tragic part of this whole dynamic. Faced with losing everything, a lot of these men undergo a profound, sincere transformation. They hit rock bottom, and suddenly they're doing all the things she'd been begging for. They're booking therapy, reading the books. They're finally ready to talk about their feelings. But here's the devastating truth. As real as his change is, for her, it is simply too little, too late. The emotional distance between them has become too vast to cross. She's been emotionally gone for so long that she just doesn't have the energy or, frankly, the desire to make the long journey back to him. So, is this just a simple story of a neglectful husband and an unhappy wife? Or is there something deeper, something more complex going on that maybe both of them are completely missing? This is where it gets really interesting. Therapist Michelle Weiner-Davis points to a key piece of the puzzle. And it's something you've probably heard of, Gary Chapman's concept of love languages. The basic idea, right, is that we all give and receive love in different ways. And if your partner isn't speaking your language, you can feel totally unloved, even if they're trying their best to show you they care. And this is where the wires get crossed so badly. Very often, her primary love language is quality time or words of affirmation. She wants to talk to feel connected. His primary language, very often, is physical touch. Now get this, both of them are making bids for connection, but they're speaking completely different languages. So the messages just aren't landing. And this, right here, is the core insight that so many couples miss.
For a lot of men, initiating sex isn't just about a physical act. It is their primary bid for emotional connection. It's his way of saying, I want to be close to you. I want to connect with you. But for a woman who needs conversation to feel close, it can just sound like he only wants one thing.
So when she turns away from his physical advances because she doesn't feel emotionally connected, he experiences that as a profound rejection. It's the exact same feeling of being unwanted and unimportant that she feels when he won't talk to her. And what's his response? The same as hers. He shuts down. He checks out emotionally.
And this isn't just a one-time thing. This dynamic locks them into a tragic, self-perpetuating vicious cycle that just drives them further and further apart, with neither one really understanding why.
Just look how this works. Step 1, she needs to feel emotionally close to even want physical intimacy. Step 2, he's not providing that, so she withdraws physically. Step 3, he needs physical connection to feel emotionally close. Step 4, she's withdrawn, so he checks out emotionally, which, of course, just makes her feel even less connected. It's a downward spiral, where each person's natural reaction accidentally brings out the absolute worst in their partner.
And that's really the question that this whole thing leaves us with. It's so easy to stand on our side of the fence, pointing fingers, just waiting for our partner to finally get it. But the real challenge, the real work, is to ask ourselves, am I making a real, genuine effort to learn and speak my partner's language? Or am I just waiting around for them to learn mine?